A suspect has now been arrested for allegedly sharing classified military documents in an online chat group. And a member of that chat group shared what he believes was a possible motive behind the leak. NTD's Jason Perry gives us an update.
Early on Thursday, President Biden was asked about the recent leak of highly classified military documents.
Mr. President, could you give an update on that leak investigation, the leaked documents from DOD?
I can't right now. There is a full-blown investigation going on, as you know, with the intelligence community and the Justice Department, and they're getting close.
And U.S. officials were getting close. Attorney General Merrick Garland made the announcement of the suspect's arrest around 3 p.m. Eastern Time.
Today, the Justice Department arrested Jack Douglas Teixeira in connection with an investigation into alleged unauthorized removal, retention, and transmission of classified national defense information. Teixeira is an employee of the United States Air Force National Guard. FBI agents took Teixeira into custody earlier this afternoon without incident.
21-year-old Teixeira is a member of the Massachusetts Air National Guard.
He will have an initial appearance at the U.S. District Court for the District of Massachusetts.
Teixeira allegedly posted top-secret classified information in a chat group of about 25 people on the social media platform Discord.
I was first made aware of these documents, I want to say about 6 to 8 months ago.
The Washington Post interviewed a member of that chat group who said he spoke with Teixeira just a few days ago.
Any claims that he is a Russian operative or pro-Russian is categorically false. He is not interested in helping any foreign agencies with their attack on the U.S. or other countries. He was a young, charismatic man who loved nature, God, who loved shooting guns and racing cars.
And he explained what could be a possible motive behind the leak.
He did see himself as the leader of this group, and he was the leader of this group. And he wanted us all to be sort of super soldiers to some degree, informed, fit, with God, well-armed, stuff like that.
Pentagon Press Secretary General Pat Ryder did not comment specifically on the ongoing investigation, but added this about the handling of classified information.
We have rules in place. Each of us signs a non-disclosure agreement, anybody that has a security clearance. And so all indications are, again, this is a criminal act, a willful violation of those. And again, another reason why we're continuing to investigate and support DOJ's investigation.
Garland said the investigation is ongoing and that the DOJ will share more information at the appropriate time. Jason Perry, NTD News.
New developments in the stabbing and killing of tech executive Bob Lee. San Francisco police say they have arrested a suspect. He also works in the tech industry and knew Lee before the murder.
San Francisco police announced they have arrested 38-year-old Nima Momeni of Emerville, the owner of a company called Expand IT. He allegedly stabbed and killed Cash App founder Bob Lee on April 4th.
This morning, members of the San Francisco Police Department's Investigations Bureau and Tactical Unit served several search warrants and an arrest warrant in San Francisco and Emeryville, California. Mr. Momeni was taken into custody without incident in Emeryville, California. He was transported to the San Francisco County Jail and booked on one charge of murder.
Police responded to a call about the stabbing at around 2:35 a.m. They found the 43-year-old suffering from life-threatening injuries in downtown San Francisco. He was transported to the Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital, but did not make it.
The specific charges that we are filing today include murder in violation of Penal Code Section 187, as well as a special allegation, also known as an enhancement, alleging that this murder was committed with a knife.
According to police, Lee allegedly knew Momeni, so it was not a random attack. Mission Local reported that they were driving in the suspect's car and there was some kind of confrontation. Police recovered a knife nearby. Lee's brother, Tim, posted on Facebook saying he looks forward to working with the district attorney's office to prosecute the case. He said, "Hopefully now our family can begin the healing process." Momeni is scheduled to be arraigned at 1:30 p.m. on Friday at the Hall of Justice on no bail. Following the murder, among reports of other crimes, there have been growing debates over the city's safety. According to the city's crime dashboard, San Francisco has seen 13 homicides so far this year.
And over to Florida. A record amount of rainfall hit the Fort Lauderdale area overnight, sparking a flash flood emergency. Governor Ron DeSantis declared a state of emergency in Broward County. Schools are closed and rescue teams are working to help those trapped by the flood.
We ran hundreds of water rescues in Broward County for people. Now, the majority of these people that were trapped and required rescue were actually in their vehicles. They misnavigated, misjudged the water height and water levels, and became stranded in their vehicles.
According to the National Weather Service, Fort Lauderdale tallied over 25 inches of rain in a 24-hour period, the rainiest day in its history. During the peak of Wednesday's deluge, a month's worth of rain fell in just 1 hour. The Weather Service is calling this a 1-in-1,000-year event. A flood warning was in effect for portions of Broward County until 4 p.m. today, and a flood watch is in effect through this evening. South Florida could still get more rain. Forecasters say gusty winds, small hail, and even isolated tornadoes are possible. Broward County Public Schools canceled classes today, and the Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport will be closed until 5 a.m. Friday. And staying in France, let's look now at the effect that Macron's recent remarks on Taiwan are having on Europe and potentially on broader global dynamics. He was asked about the prospect of China invading Taiwan and replied that Europe must not become just America's followers. That comes after returning from a trip to China. Here to mull this over with me is Riley Walters, a senior fellow at the Global Taiwan Institute and the deputy director of the Hudson Institute Japan chair, who I spoke with earlier today. Riley Walters, welcome to our show. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Now, Macron has made some controversial comments on Taiwan since his return from China, essentially saying that France should not get caught up in an escalation between the U.S. and China. And he says he's standing by his comments, even after facing global backlash. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it seems like his comments are pretty on par with, I think, things he's said in the past. He has mentioned, of course, that he doesn't want to necessarily align with the United States on this issue, but, other French officials have come out sort of to readjust his comments to say that France is still very much aligned with the United States, and so is Europe. I think the biggest problem, of course, with this entire trip is really the image of it, the imagery of him going to China, saying these remarks, and then, of course, him leaving and China launching these massive military drills around Taiwan. So really the imagery around this has been, I think, much more upsetting than perhaps his actual statements.
Interesting. So how do you think that Macron's moves will impact France's alliance with the U.S. and the relationship between Western allies as a whole?
Well, I think we're seeing it from U.S. officials already. I think various politicians have already come out and sort of, question Macron's intentions, really his alignment, I guess you could call it, with either the European Union or the United States. But I think as a whole, many French officials and European officials are still pretty secure in the relationship between, the transatlantic relationship between the U.S. and Europe. So I think, maybe this is more of a bump in the road than anything else. I don't think it necessarily changes anything. But again, the imagery of this, I think, actually supports Beijing in a lot of ways, because it does purport a message that Beijing wants and would like to see, this tear between America and Europe when it comes to issues in the Indo-Pacific.
Now, former UK Prime Minister Liz Truss has criticized Macron as well for his stance on Taiwan, saying that China can't be treated like just another global player because it's a totalitarian regime. She also said that Macron looking to Beijing for a solution to Ukraine is a sign of weakness. What's your response to her comments?
Well, I think the UK government, even past and current governments, have really articulated the problem with China very well. I think other governments around the world have also been very good at acknowledging the problem that China is becoming a real threat. And it's not just specific to the Indo-Pacific. It is becoming a global problem. It's a problem for Asian countries as much as it is for European countries. And so I think she's spot on this. A lot of people have noted that the problem with Russia and Russia's illegal invasion in Ukraine and the implications this has for China and it's threatening to invade Taiwan. These are global matters, and these aren't things that can necessarily be separated between different regions of the world.
It seems like Xi Jinping has had some big successes recently as well, with Iran and Saudi Arabia, diplomatic ties with the Solomon Islands, all moves that say we're the world leaders now. And now this. What are your thoughts on China?
I would say you're right. I think they have been successful in, maybe finding new partners or ways of building their partnerships with existing partners. But I would also argue that the United States and its allies and partners are actually expediting their partnerships as well. I think we're seeing a lot of new strategic thinking out of Japan, out of Australia, out of various countries in Europe that, again, articulate that China is I think the number one challenge for the 21st century. And so they are either on their own through their own autonomous interests or with the United States working out ways to deal with this challenge, the China challenge. And so as much as China likes to bolster it, maybe it is building new partners, the West or whatever you want to call it, we have many more friends and partners than they do. And I believe that our interests are the right ones.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Riley Walters, a senior fellow at the Global Taiwan Institute and deputy director of the Hudson Institute Japan Chair. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.